As the project manager for a new healthcare facility, Angela is assessing the effectiveness of her stakeholder engagement strategies. The project involves diverse stakeholders, including healthcare professionals, local government officials, patients, groups, and construction contractors. Angela aimed to understand if these stakeholders are engaged appropriately based on their needs and the project's goal. Which tool should Angela employ to methodologically evaluate and refine her stakeholder engagement approach? So it's a project with a group of stakeholders, and we want to understand how a different groups are engaged and how should we refine our approach so that we can improve the engagement. That seems to be the question. Let's see the option A. Apply the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix to compare current versus desired level of engagement for each stakeholder group. Looks a good idea because the question is basically talking about that I need to understand what is their engagement level and how should I influence that in order to work with these stakeholders. Are they appropriately engaged? Yeah, that's something we are exploring. So are they engaged at a desired level or not? So looks like a good idea. Let's see other options. Option B, use the power and interest grid to categorize stakeholder and tailor engagement strategies accordingly. Now, we need to probably relook at the question. Is the question is focusing on identifying how to engage with different people, or the question is focusing on looking at what is their current engagement level and how should we engage with them appropriately so that we meet the desired engagement level. So if I want to understand their areas, their needs and expectations and their engagement level, then I probably can use power interest grid. But if I want to understand their current engagement level and focus on is it appropriate or should I do something about it, then I need to use stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. So that's a decision we have to make. So let's look at the question again. So project involves diversified stakeholder. Angela aim is to understand if these stakeholders are engaged appropriately, yeah, based on their needs and the project goals. Then it is clearly focusing on stakeholder engagement assessment matrix because that help us in putting the stakeholder understanding their current engagement level and their desired engagement level, and if there is a gap, figuring out and resolving it. So option A is better than option B. We are not talking about categorizing stakeholder at this point in time. Option C, develop a detailed communication management plan to ensure consistent and effective communication with all stakeholders. Yes, you have to do it, but that could be as a result of option A after that, yeah, not before that. Option D, create a user persona for each stakeholders group to understand their perspective and tailor engagement strategies. Yeah, it's a good input, but not taking care of the current problem. Our current problem is focusing on are these people well engaged or not, and if they are appropriately engaged rather than well engaged, appropriately engaged or not, and if they are not appropriately engaged, let's do something about it. That's the current problem. Now, in order to understand their needs and expectation and do a better stakeholder analysis, I can use power interest grid, I can use user personas. And after understanding their needs and expectations and current engagement level, if I need to focus on my improvement of communication, I can use communication management plan also. So all the four options somewhere are useful. They are not something irrelevant here. But in this particular context, the option A, which is talking about a tool stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, is the right answer in this particular question. So here we learn about a task which is about engaging stakeholder, task 4. We looked into the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, and usually the overall approach of filling the gap between the current level of engagement and desired level of engagement is done with the help of stakeholder engagement planning. So this question also talk about a topic like stakeholder engagement plan, where we need to find out how should we engage with our stakeholders in a manner so that they meet the desired level of engagement.